Thank you. I'd like to say just before I begin that knowing that time has been long this morning, if there is another hearing, I'd be more than happy to come back to address questions more fully based on other answers that I know you want to get today. But I do have a statement, and if there's time for questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those as well.
Thank you. We'll limit it to the statement. Proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Schoenberg, Chair Belloc, and members of the Commission for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to tell you that the change in the direction of the Health and Family Services has chosen to take for the state's group insurance program will disrupt doctor-patient relationships for 10,000s of state employees and their families, and it will cost both those employees and the state of Illinois more, not less money. A fact I believe workers deserve to understand. Health Alliance has submitted a formal protest for the HMO and the OAP procurements, and we have requested additional information to help us understand the rationale behind the procurement decisions, because looking at the information available, it is impossible to arrive at the same conclusions. It is important to understand the Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO plans selected do not have statewide networks. In fact, the only way you can get to a statewide HMO network would be to combine the programs of Health Alliance and Blue Cross Blue Shield. The argument that Tier 1 level OAPs create savings similar to a statewide HMO offering does not hold water. OAPs do not manage care as effectively as HMOs. They do not have established incentive programs like capitation models or fully insured programs, which give great risk and emphasis for providers and carriers to manage costs and to keep those costs down. If the department's goal was to achieve cost savings, they did not succeed. This Commission's own March 2011 report on page 10 clearly show OAPs are more expensive than HMOs. By eliminating all competition from the HMO program and selecting only one vendor based solely on the lowest price, this procurement was over before it started. We have heard officials today comment that they selected two programs. Well, those two programs were one vendor, and there's been no dispute that there are differences in costs in Chicago than in downstate Illinois. No downstate HMO could provide a rate as low as those of Chicago-based HMOs. It's also important to know that the structure of which we provide rates under this program are required to be statewide rates. Health Alliance has expanded around the state of Illinois over the last 20 to 30 years at the incentive of the state of Illinois and various administrations, because they recognized that these self-insured programs that have been offered by the state through quality care and then later through the open access programs weren't as cost-effective as HMOs. We have gone into markets in rural markets in which costs in those markets are high, and they do affect our statewide rates. So clearly, when you look at statewide rates, Blue Cross, 90% of their members are in the Chicagoland area. If you looked at their downstate situation where they have some membership, very small, but they do have some membership, their costs are far different than they are in the Chicagoland area. And if we were to regionalize rates, that would become much more apparent than it is today. Further claims of $100 million in savings are highly suspect. OAPs, the plans identified by this commission as more expensive, would be the only HMO-like choice for current Health Alliance HMO members, unless this award was made on the basis of an expected expansion of the Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO network. If so, that would be a manipulation of the procurement process, in that all networks were to be in place by January 1, 2011 to qualify for bidding. It would also be a very unsafe assumption. Downstate providers have historically chosen not to contract with Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO because they cannot afford to accept the reimbursement rates that are in place in the Chicagoland area. And I think under further review, you will find that even Blue Cross's contracts downstate are higher than they are in the Chicagoland area. And if they had the ability to develop downstate HMO programs, they would have done so over the last 30 years, and that has not happened. In fact, the only way one can arrive at $100 million savings is to assume that all downstate provider contracts with Blue Cross Blue Shield at their Chicago area reimbursement rates, and all Health Alliance, Humana, Personal Care HMOs members move to Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have personally reviewed and done the math on this decision, and you get to $101 million. Interesting, their number was $102 million. But you get to $101 million in savings if you can move all of them over to Blue Cross Blue Shield at their Chicago-based rates. That is a fallacy and would be unrealistic to assume that it could ever happen. State workers should not have to choose between their wallets and their doctors. When state employees move from HMOs to OAP or to quality care, their premiums and out-of-pocket costs increase. To keep their doctors, most employees will be forced to move from their HMO to an OAP plan or to the quality care plan. Or if they choose another doctor, they will encounter difficulty getting appointments because Blue Cross Blue Shield HMO and Tier 1 OAP networks are inadequate to serve the needs of the population currently with providers in the Health Alliance HMO. During the bid evaluation process, Health Alliance responded twice to requests for best and final rates. The second request was for a best and final rate for 29 counties, which was prescribed to us. We did not suggest this. These counties did not represent all of our key markets with the best discounts, network relationships, and membership. Health Alliance responded to the request. Prior to that response, we asked to meet with HFS officials to get a better understanding of the goal for the best and final request. These officials declined to meet with us and noted we may be receiving additional requests for best and final offers. No further requests were received. Had Health Alliance been allowed to select the counties for the best and final rates, we would have likely have been able to offer a better rate. Under this procurement, HFS is moving a significant portion of its membership from fixed cost per member per month to variable and unpredictable cost, as approximately 96,000 Health Alliance HMO members migrate to the self-funded OAP or quality care programs to maintain their doctor relationships. Variable costs to the state increase and are much more difficult to predict for budgeting. Again, making the claims of $100 million in savings unreliable. And if there was really a belief that OAPs were just as effective as HMOs, and the procurement rules would have been the same, in which OAPs would have been required to guarantee total cost, not just guarantee an administrative fee. But instead, the rules were made different for the OAP plans than for the HMO plans that were required to be fully insured. Health Alliance is the only bidder ranked in the top 10% of health plans in the nation for quality and customer satisfaction. A bidding process that eliminates the only two carriers with excellent accreditation from the National Committee for Quality Assurance must be seen as flawed in the weighting of the various components of the proposals. In fact, the most recent NCQA ranking of private commercial health plans placed Health Alliance HMO as the number 25 health plan in the nation, while HMO Illinois and Blue Advantage was placed at number 155, a stark contrast.
Excuse me for a second. Due to time constraints and other meetings.
I'm about done.
Thank you very much.
It is also important to point out that this change would result in eliminating more jobs in Illinois at a time when the state can ill afford more people added to the unemployment rolls. It is puzzling that HFS would end a 30-year relationship between Health Alliance and state employees. Health Alliance has remained a carrier for the state during the ups and downs of the state's fiscal crisis and currently is carrying a $200 million receivable. We have persevered in one partnership, providing a high-quality, reasonably priced product to the state of Illinois and its employees. We are not asking to replace other carriers, but we believe state employees deserve choices, and we believe Health Alliance can be a partner in achieving the savings in the state group insurance program. We are simply asking HFS and the Quinn administration to include Health Alliance as another choice for state enrollees and their families. Thank you.